What? What the? Why is she here? Of all the people, the most unwelcome person appeared before her eyes. Tanya didn't care about anyone else, including the red-haired cow, but she could not ignore her presence, especially in light of what her business partner had revealed to her. This is bad. What is she even doing here? Hyodo-san, I can't believe it's really you standing before me. What does this mean? Aren't you going to explain anything to me? She spat out, drilling Tanya with her gaze. Tanya ground her teeth in irritation and put her beautiful mini munchkin back into her inventory. She returned the stare. What are you doing here, Sona? I don't recall giving my permission for such familiarity. She frowned at the statement. But fine, that's not important right now. Hyodo-san, do you really think you're in a position to ask questions? Answer immediately. What is going on? Who are you? She raised her voice, putting special emphasis on the last word. Tanya merely smirked crookedly. Silent? You really should answer, Hyodo-san. It's in your best interest. If you don't answer... Her eyes narrowed dangerously, and bluish flashes of magical energies sparked on her palms. If I don't answer, then what? A slight grin appeared on Tanya's lips. It's a shame, Hyodo-san. I thought as classmates we could resolve this peacefully. If you had just surrendered and admitted your mistakes, there would still be a chance for you to get out of this situation with minimal consequences. However, not only did you attack my sister, but you show no remorse whatsoever. You are forcing my hand. The stream of energy forming in her hands took on a material form. Streams of water, gathered seemingly from the air, combined into a single sphere. Suddenly, the stream of water, under immense pressure, shot towards Tanya. With her heightened perception, she watched the deadly stream rush toward her as if in slow motion. In a normal situation, this might have made her nervous, as the power and speed of the stream were not to be underestimated. But now, compared to the speed of one old man, this stream was crawling no faster than an ant. Moreover, there were two other reasons why Tanya felt absolutely no threat from it. The first was terrifyingly banal. Sona, she was simply too soft and naive. The stream was directed toward her shoulder. It was obvious she wasn't aiming to inflict significant damage. Even in this situation, she didn't want to kill, and this was despite the fact that Tanya had just recently vaporized her sister's skull, even if it couldn't significantly harm her. Honestly, in her prudence, her habit of sticking to rules, and control over her emotions, Tanya even found Sona likable. Perhaps for these qualities, she was the person Tanya respected the most out of anyone she had met here. But this was no time for sentiment. The stream of water, having covered 100 meters in almost an instant, was now within arm's reach, but Tanya merely extended her palm to meet it. Noticing the gesture, shock was reflected in Sona's eyes. She probably thought Tanya would lose her arm, but psst. A light gesture of a palm wrapped in a golden glow. The stream sharply deflects. Boom! A fraction of a second later, an explosion was heard. The stream flew past, cutting the already half-destroyed stage in half. Tanya merely smirked, looking at Sona's half-open mouth. The disbelief and shock in her eyes were visible to the naked eye. What? Was all the fragmented phrase she could squeeze out. And the other equally obvious reason for her calmness was that it was a water elemental attack. Levi-chan's gift had a strong immunity to it. By the way, why specifically to water and ice? She should ask her about that. And adding to that her increased resistance to demonic energy and her own mechanism's defense, the result was that a water attack by someone at Sona's level was no more than a mosquito bite to her now. Who are you even? But the shocked Sona didn't manage to finish her sentence when Tanya noticed a vague movement behind her. A flash of bright golden light shone behind her back, and in the next second, an indistinct silhouette formed into a clear human figure. Tanya reacted instantly, immediately pulling an automatic rifle from her inventory. Sona's eyes widened in horror, and she hastily began to create a water barrier. Only it wasn't in the right direction. However, her companion, Tsubaki, apparently noticed the same thing as Tanya, and, turning around sharply, she shielded Sona. The unknown assailant's golden blade of light was rushing towards her. Tur-ta-ta-ta-ta. Boom, boom, boom. Ah! Ah! A frantic female scream erupted, and Tsubaki, clutching a slashing wound on her chest, fell to her knees. A series of explosions followed, and not far from her, a figure in a white hood materialized as if from thin air. A strange-shaped golden blade glowed in his hands. Tanya felt the aura emanating from it with her skin, very similar to her own. Who is this one? Tsubaki! Sona immediately rushed to her servant. Hyodo-san, how dare you? Her gaze this time was ready to incinerate. No, mistress, it wasn't. Ah! But events continued to unfold, not letting her finish. Ignoring the hysterical screams of one person, Tanya struggled to keep track of the indistinct white silhouette, which vanished like a ghost. Her eyes struggled to catch the movements. Tanya understood that he had no intention of stopping. Yoshi! She instantly shouted and lunged straight towards Sona. This bastard, whoever he was, possessed speed comparable to that old geezer, or at least was close to it. And if that was the case, Tanya definitely wouldn't be able to hit him, but she had to act fast. Positive effect applied. All magic circuits opened. General physical enhancement plus 50%. Warning: prolonged action of this effect may damage energy channels and the user's physical condition. At that very moment, he rushed towards Sona again. Tanya opened all her magic circuits, boosting her speed to the limit, even despite the side effects. She couldn't hold back with such an opponent. Too much was at stake. Sona, looking with an angry gaze, began to gather a new stream of energy in her hands. What an idiot! She still hasn't figured out it wasn't me? However, there was absolutely no time. Tanya rushed down at full speed. The bayonet on the rifle shone with a bright golden light. The blurred figure was much faster, but having reacted slightly earlier, Tanya had a small lead. Clang, bzzz, splash, impact. She made it! Golden sparks flew into the air, and the knife on the rifle blocked the enemy's blade. A satisfied smirk stretched across her face, but at the same moment it twisted into a grimace. You brat! I'm saving you here! Can't you tell? The idiot attacked her in the back. Tanya wanted to strangle her just as much as her sister. But still, I made it. Catastrophe avoided. Tanya was just about to examine her opponent more carefully when his sword flashed with light again, and in the next second, a cut! The enchanted bayonet broke into two halves. What? Tanya was shocked, and the next moment the blade of light was heading for her throat. There was no time to think. Tanya could only accept the fact that even a light energy enchanted blade was no match for this sword. Dropping the automatic rifle from her hands, Tanya concentrated the holy energy in her hand, forming a golden spear of light. Bzzz. The spear was able to block the lunge, but it couldn't last too long. Tanya saw the energy gradually dissipate in her hands. Tanya hadn't mastered this technique yet. The spear was still too unstable. She'd learned this trick from the fallen partridge. It quickly scattered into sparks, and Tanya had no choice but to take the blade with her palm. Damn it! Don't fail me, magical girl dress! The passive barrier should help block the lunge and prevent her from completely losing her hand. However, something strange happened. The moment the blade touched her palm and should have sliced her hand open, it suddenly flared up. A very familiar energy ran through her body. The mechanism on her chest shone with new intensity, as if responding to the sword. The danger she felt from this blade instantly vanished. The moment she touched its edge, it seemed to become a part of her body. However, before she could fully process this strange phenomenon, what? How is that possible? A frantic male voice burst from the figure in white. Flash! Before Tanya could blink, he was back at a distance. The sword's owner stared at Tanya with a very thoughtful and disbelieving look. Even from here, she could sense his confusion. "Who are you? Which department are you from? Why are you protecting these demonic creatures? No, more importantly, my holy sword. That reaction. No, that just can't be." He shook his head in confusion, but then his eyes immediately filled with fire again. "Who are you? Answer." Tanya still felt a strange sensation in her hand. She scrutinized this cog of being X with a careful gaze. Assessment. Status. Name, Abraham. Race, human. Age, 28. Level, 22. Status, exorcist. Title, fanatic. Evolution index, D. Characteristics, strength, 6. Modified, 12. Agility, 30. Modified, 90. Constitution, 10. Modified, 20. Faith, 15. Willpower, 10. Modified, 20. Equipment. Excalibur of Swiftness. Effect, increased speed depending on compatibility with the owner. Light energy damage. Enhancement of overall physical parameters. Effects, Divine Blessing of Swiftness. Agility, 200%. Increased stamina and energy consumption. He wasn't as strong as the old geezer. Even more, he was a weakling. The only thing he had was speed. How could this be? Why such a severe imbalance in characteristics? But the answer quickly appeared. The sword. It must be the reason. It was an interesting artifact, but with this level of mastery... Tanya noticed a dark figure looming over the priest's back. Boom! A terrible crash sounded. Cracks ran across the ground. A giant crater formed from the giant's blow, but he sensed something and dodged. Ane-san! The giant, shining in dark armor in the moonlight, crawled out of the crater he himself had created. What happened? Who was that? But before he could finish, a golden flash appeared behind his back. "I don't know who you are, but you're finished. My holy blade grants me the power of God. Death to heretics." Strange feeling of déjà vu, except... Clang! The golden blade struck a shower of sparks on Yoshi's armor, not even scratching it. Just as Tanya thought, all he had was speed, and the energy of the blade itself. Maybe he was able to cut her bayonet and the unstable, flawed light spear, but he couldn't pierce Yoshi's armor. However, the artifact was interesting. "Yoshi, deal with this trash yourself. I really hope you don't mess up like with the old geezer. Got it?" Tanya shouted to the giant, to which he nodded. "And yes, that sword is interesting. Grab it, too." Boom! Yoshi went on the attack. "What? Are you out of your mind, little world? Which department are you from?" But he wouldn't calm down. Boom! "My sword gives me the power of God, that I would lose to some heretics?" Boom! "Ouch! I'll grind you into powder." Boom! "Just get away from me!" Shrieking frantically, he tried with all his might to escape Yoshi's blows, any of which threatened to turn him into minced meat. Tanya didn't care. She was most interested in the girl behind her. Turning around, she saw her staring at her with a very strange look. "Hyodo-san, what is happening here? You helped me? Why? What does this mean?" She immediately overwhelmed her with questions. Without saying anything, Tanya approached Tsubaki and knelt over her. Her palm lit up with the light, and a moment later, the hue changed to blue. "What are you going to do?" Panic surged in Sona's eyes. A blue glow enveloped the figure on the ground. "That's better. Asumi's mechanism is still useful." Tanya was able to copy its properties, but the speed and power were still much weaker. Tanya wouldn't be able to completely heal serious wounds, but something at this level? Quite possible. "That is a healing spell? What does this mean, Hyodo-san?" She looked strangely at the cut on her hand and also at the figure of the cleric in the distance. "Aren't you from the church?" A golden glow flashed in Tanya's hands, and she extended them towards Sona. Blash! A barrier of golden light covered both of them. "What does this mean, Hyodo-san?" A stream of water shot from her hands again, but it shattered against the barrier. "What does this mean, Hyodo-san? Answer something already." Tanya sighed wearily. Sona, stop having hysterics. It's not like you. This barrier will protect you and won't let you out so you don't do anything foolish again. There are no more enemies left who could break through it, so sit here quietly until everything is over. Then you can go wherever you want. Don't make my job even harder, okay? Ignoring her screams, Tanya cast a fleeting glance at Yoshi, who was vigorously continuing to chase the priest, and then headed back towards the two defeated opponents. Approaching her two former opponents, Tanya caught a strange scene. "Ha ha ha! Diodora, you bastard! How do you like that, you freak? Huh? Do you like it? Ha ha ha!" The truly happy Holy Father Freed was squatting and drawing something on Diodora's face with a dagger blade. "Freed, you scoundrel! You'll pay for this, you bastard! I'll tear both you and this little bitch into 1,000 pieces!" Diodora was lying on the ground, unable to even move. His legs were mangled beyond recognition. Marcus, lying off to the side, was in no better shape. After all, the machine gun burst hit them for a fraction of a second. They weren't sent to the afterlife, but both were seriously injured. However, Tanya could still feel the energy emanating from him. He was still alive. PF. 0, calling Goddess. Ani-san, this is urgent," came from the radio. "Goddess is on the line. What happened?" "Help me! Ani-san! A cough was heard. "Faster! The target! Your brother! In danger! Some freak in a white robe with a sword! Faster! 0? PF! However, the radio fell silent. A bad feeling arose inside. This was bad. Had another unaccounted factor appeared? Boom! "Ah, you bitch! Eat this, you scum!" The frantic scream of the Holy Father sounded, followed by the sound of a grenade exploding. "Motherfucker!" "What is happening?" Tanya immediately looked at him. What the? Diodora and Marcus were shielded by a blazing barrier of fire, and the old man himself was gradually getting back on his feet. What in the hell? He was barely alive just now. What is going on? "Boss, little boss, quickly! They have phoenix tears! Don't let Diodora take them!" Freed's frantic scream was heard. Tanya had no idea what these tears were, but a 3-meter spear of brightest light immediately formed in her hand, and she sent it toward the place where Marcus was stumbling. Boom! Just as Tanya thought, the barrier was pierced right through, but Marcus himself, seeing the spear of light, suddenly threw something to Diodora, dodging the spear. "No, you bastard! I won't allow it!" Tanya clenched her hand into a fist. Bang! Zzz! At the same moment, the spear of light exploded in the air, sending the vial with the unknown contents to the side. Tanya darted from her spot, placing herself between it and Diodora. New spears of light appeared in her hands. Marcus finally got back to his feet. Tanya couldn't believe it. His wounds were closing before her eyes. Well, that was unfortunate, but no matter. I admit I underestimated you, little monster. Who would have thought we'd have to use our last ace? But never mind. A sword of fire appeared in his hand, and a second later, he himself appeared before her with a flash. I just need to get rid of you for once and for all. Clang! BZZZZ! Tanya barely managed to block the blow with her spear. He wasn't in his fire form, but he still possessed considerable speed. But for some reason, Tanya could resist him. Assessment. Effects. Extreme exhaustion. Basic physical parameters reduced by 50%. Aha, so that's it. His wounds may have healed, but his stamina is almost depleted. He's too tired. Well then, I have a chance. Freed, Tanya called in a commanding voice. Quickly leave for the coordinates of the second group. My brother is there. You're responsible for him with your head. Understood? Her eyes were bloodshot, which startled him. Milted, execute. Before Freed could even object, he instantly vanished in a flash of a portal. Well, as for me, I'll have to push myself. Coo. Positive effect applied. All magic circuits opened. General physical enhancement plus 50%. Warning, prolonged action of this effect may damage energy channels and the user's physical condition. Only Tanya's bared teeth were reflected in the pupils of one old geezer.